Let's have a look at the decade that's gone by. That's one of the things we're doing this week on My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. Having a look at the glorious moments in cricket from the decade gone by. Even though technically, just want to be a little nerdy here, the decade isn't really over. That gets over in 2020. But at any given point in time, you can look back at the previous decade, because at every point in time, there has been 10 years that have gotten over till today.
Oh, God.
Right. So we are looking at the decade gone by, starting from 2009.
I thought you'd do something like this.
Or 2010, which actually becomes year 0.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter. In the last 10 years gone by, Joy and Simon have chosen these as some of the moments. I only had one moment to choose, of course, which was the 2013 Champions Trophy win. What did you think I was going to say? Right, let's have a look at the moments that they've or let's talk about the moments that they've picked. Joy, Simon, who wants to go first?
Take it away, sir.
I just say, the one thing that I will remember and a lot of cricketers will remember is every decade you have players retire, but I think the quality of players that we lost in this one decade has been absolutely this thing, from Sachin to, Sangakkara,
Kallis,
to Jamila Javardene, Jacques Kallis, Muralidharan at the start, Ponting. You lost a really, really good crop of players, and as a result, you've also seen something. The Sri Lankan team, for example, just completely crumbled away for a while, and I think it's now off and on there, but that ferocious, that tremendous Sri Lankan team, which was so consistent over so long, suddenly disappeared. And I think that's one of the highlights of the decade for me. Somehow Sri Lankan cricket needs to sort of revive itself. The Australians did a nice up and down where they suddenly disappeared for a while in the middle, and I think right now at the end they've started climbing again.
Yeah, they pick young players to complement their older players, whereas Sri Lanka didn't blood any young players in alongside Mahela, Murali, Kumar. They didn't blood any players through. They had a very old side, I think, coming through there, and those guys didn't learn their trade. There wasn't young guys coming through to learn their trade and take over, and that's been a bit of an issue. I'm going to say something that upsets you here, because I think the revival of the 50 over World Cup. We think 11, we think 15, and we think the one just gone.
Excellent World Cups.
Yeah. Brilliant World Cups. Right? India, phenomenal. It was amazing. New Zealand in New Zealand. Australia winning it in their home country as well. And the one just gone, England winning it in their home country. I think the revival of the 50 over after that 2007 debacle, the revival of those 3 World Cups through this last decade has been phenomenal for me. So the interest in and around it, teams absolutely desperate to win that 50 over World Cup. The format of it, absolutely love the format of it. I love that it's tough to get into.
Yeah.
I would probably prefer, I know this will never happen because the ICC is run by the member countries, so each board has their own representation, of the top countries on the ICC board. So it'll never happen, but I would love to see only the top 6 teams ranked make it through automatically, and then teams from 7 through to 16 have a qualifiers.
Wow.
So you've actually got 4 of the top tier teams going to have to qualify.
Yeah.
And then your Irelands and your Hollands and your Scotlands,
Botswanas, Papua New Guinea,
but then they've got nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
Because they love a moan. They love a good moan when they miss out on the World Cup. So to me, that would be one thing. The other thing, I think, the acceptance of the DRS by all countries.
True.
Once that's taken on, I think now, we've seen a little incident tonight, but it's for the better. It's for the betterment of our game. I think the correct decisions, the stats will show you, are being made more often now, and acceptance of it by all countries in all formats, I think, is a very good thing.
And the fans. I think the acceptance of fans, where the DRS is concerned, and DRS is easier to love than VAR. VAR is a tough one to love. But the DRS has been easy to love, and India fought it for a very long time, but has accepted it now. And I really like the gamification of the DRS. It's a bit of a game, right? When you're in the center, when do you pick it? How do you pick it? You have limited ones. I like the gamification of it.
We were talking about in, I think, one of these shows where we said one of the things that we have to do is captains should take training in DRS situations.
Yeah,
and players should take training, because if I want to call a nick, at what point do I call it? I should have a strategy saying that if it's a keeper who's listened to it, this is it. If it's a slipper who's done that, teams should discuss their DRS strategy just like they discuss bowling and fielding changes.
But Rohit Sharma told me this. Rohit Sharma told me this on Breakfast with Champions. He said that we have proper DRS meetings He says we have proper DRS meetings. He says we have as pairs. We're like, how are we going to pick it? What are we going to say? Whose call is it?
Excellent.
And I love what Viru said about it for the 2011 World Cup. Right here on Cricbuzz Live in the Hindi studio. He said when it came for the 2011 World Cup, he says we had a team meeting and I told everyone, I said, guys, we have two. One is mine. The other one you guys can decide who's.
It's the Shane Watson theory.
Yeah, yeah, correct. I don't know if Watto tells people. Viru just told them. He's like, I'm going first to bat. I'm taking
The guy at point is, or gully plays a crucial role in all DRS decisions for LBWs.
Yeah.
Just watch where the ball goes. I'm a big one for this. If the ball goes up after it hits the pad, it's generally either hitting the top of the stumps or going over the top of the stumps.
Wow.
So if you look at the knee roll, if it hits knee roll or below, it's generally going to go back down.
Yeah.
Okay. So from the side on, if it hits above and pops up in the air, like if it loops up in the air, you'll generally find that the ball on a true surface is going to go over the top of the stump. So the guy at gully and at point, they have a big role to play in those.
They're not normally called on. Interesting, and again, maybe somebody's listening in and will take this.
I hope they are, because the thing with Simon Dole is he's got some amazing suggestions, right? But because he's all the way in New Zealand, nobody can hear his voice, right? That's why we keep calling him here.
Exactly. He's
amplify it.
Exactly. They're asleep and he's giving out the suggestions. By the time we wake up, it's all over.
That's
exactly
right.
Like he did to us.
He's got to go pink ball, man. You got to go pink clothes and then say it out at a time when everybody else is awake, just like I've done today, right? Anything else? Any other points?
Well, one slight, I suppose, on the last few years has been the ball tampering issue. I mean, there's been a lot of it going on, a lot of it undetected. I mean, I know I could sit here and I could have a go at Australia because they got caught, but a lot of fairly blatant ball tampering has gone undetected, I think, in the last probably 6, 7, 8 years as well. So that's something that's probably been a little blight on the game, which I haven't entirely enjoyed, and I still don't know. I still don't know how we fix that.
No,
that
exactly. And I think ball tampering has been there for a while. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, you did not have the technology to catch it. Now we have the technology and you have DRS and you have everything. There is no excuse for them not to catch ball tampering happening. And you're right. Yeah. It's something that is difficult, and it looks even more stupid when somebody finishes off, retires and says, oh, we were at bat the balls all the time. And then you say that, all this I watched and why the ball was suddenly reversing, and he suddenly told you what it's all about.
Yeah.
And you feel horrible about it, much more as a fan of the game because you feel cheated.
Yeah.
So ball tampering has to go down, because see, one of the things with sport, why we are so passionate about sport, is it's a one thing where we expect fairness.
Yeah.
So
and truth.
Yeah, exactly. So when something like fixing or ball tampering takes that away from us, the anger, the turnoff from the sport is huge. Look at Australia, look at Italian football. 2000s, it was the biggest football when you started this millennium. What happened? Basically what happened is 90s, 2000, there was so much match fixing that it just dropped off the radar. And today it's English football, it's La Liga, but it's basically fixing that killed Italian football.
Yeah.
So we have got to be very, very strict, because you'd say that ball tampering is, hey, it's not fixing. It is fixing. It is fixing in a different way, but it is fixing. I'd say the other point that I really want to make is, in the last 1 decade, I think there's been far more understanding of mental health.
Yeah.
So you have a situation where people can actually admit. So it's happened before that Marcus Trescothick has gone back for a tour and he's not been well, but they never said it. But now you have a situation where a Glenn Maxwell can come out and said, I am suffering because I've, staying 300 days in a hotel room under phenomenal pressure, as any international cricketer has. Things happen. You break down, you no longer enjoy the game. If you start hating the game, you're not going to be able to play.
Yeah.
And I think the acceptance that players have mental health issues and it needs to be worked on is important, because, see, we in India also have a much larger problem. We can't turn around and say that, I have depression, therefore it needs to be treated just as much as I have a cold or I have fever and it needs to be treated. I think that's what needs to happen with mental health. Fortunately, we are now far more open about it.